Howdy all Moglax Lives. I think it's time to play a little Minecraft. Okay, we'll see how this goes. I got a bit of cold, and I don't know how well my throat is going to do. Had a bit of a issue with sound in the previous recording. For whatever reason, one of the myriad of updates that has happened changed my sound settings, and I didn't know it. And so I went to edit and get my last episode ready, and there was no sound from me. And so I'm over an hour now of talking, trying to get a video recorded. I guess my last episode was not over an hour, over a half hour of talking now. And yeah, it's what it is I've got a VR headset, and so the VR headset it it has its own speakers and its own microphone, and so when the VR activates, it automatically swaps sound to the VR headset. And then when the VR headset's off, all the sound reverts back to your main whatever sound sources, which would be my headset that I'm wearing now. And for whatever reason, the last batch of updates, and I know it was Microsoft because they just updated, changed my sound settings because nothing else has updated except that Microsoft update that just took place. So yeah, it didn't change back from when I was using my VR headset earlier today, I guess. And so I had no microphone sound. See, now what's confusing to me is I had speaker sounds because I could hear the game. That would indicate to me that it hadn't swapped back over. So it did that one, but it didn't do the microphone. And I don't understand why it would do one and not the other. But it didn't, and so I had no sound. So I had to go back in, change the settings, delete my recording because there's no sound, start over. It's I know most of my video is just me chatting away, and I'm not really reacting to what's going on anyways. But it feels weird to me to speak over a video that I'm not currently a part of. All right, I'm gonna go up to diamond level, I guess. Then here, we'll go here, and then we'll just do a little strip mining, looking for granite. Granite is what I'm after, not diamonds. But I won't turn down diamonds if I find some. But yeah, so it's been a long week. I'm a little confused as to see, I do not experience the man, my week just went by in the blink of an eye. I have the opposite of that. And so things that happened this week feel to me like they happened a couple of weeks ago. And so I don't know. I know that like our wash machine went out recently here. I want to say 2 weeks ago, and so we just got that swapped around this week, which must have been on Monday. And I thought it happened last week, but my brother-in-law said that he went and bought a boat and it was this week. I know he bought a boat, but I was thinking that it was last week. But when I said that, he's like, no, that was this week. But I know we moved the wash machine, and I thought it was nice out the day he went to get his boat, and it's not been nice out all week. So I don't know. Uh, maybe he's right. I don't know. But yeah. So it's been a long week. He's taking the boat. See, he's taken the boat out multiple times, and I don't think he's had time this week to take it out. I'm pretty sure he took it out last weekend, and then he took it out the middle of this week. And see, I'm almost positive it was last week that he went and got that boat, because I'm pretty sure he took it out over the weekend, and then he took it out in the middle of the week, and then he took it out again this weekend. But I don't know, whatever. And we had the kid over to clean up the garage, so it must have been this week. He's had that boat out 3 times this week. That's crazy. 'Cause it's cold and rainy. I know he took it out Saturday. No, he took it out Friday. And Saturday. Um, and I was surprised because it was like 50 degrees with a frigid wind, and being on the water is going to make it even more cold. So I don't know. I'm not getting in his boat. It's not happening. I don't swim. The idea of being over water that deep makes me afraid of drowning. So I'm just going to stay on dry land where I belong. I've never enjoyed that kind of thing. I remember when I was in high school, we took a trip to go canoeing, and it was supposed to be 2 people to a canoe, and my one friend decided he didn't want to be in the canoe he was in, and flipped the canoe, and then the guy he was with got mad because he got wet, and then he flipped the canoe again on purpose. And so when they righted it, the guy got in the canoe and left him in the river. And so he came and got in our canoe, and then he flipped our canoe. And I was like, we didn't have life vests or anything like that. And luckily the water wasn't over my head. And that is probably the last time I've done anything like that. And I got out of said canoe. I walked across the shallow point of the river. I climbed up the bank, and I walked along the road the rest of the 4 miles back to the bus. And apparently he, on purpose, flipped the canoe like 3 more times after that. So, but the person he was with could swim. I could not. Yeah, so I avoid that. Ugh. I've been on bigger boats, I guess. I've taken a couple of river boat things before at various amusement park or like a wildlife reserve kind of thing, where you take a big boat where they're like, oh look, there's the alligators, and then there's a fake alligator eating a person kind of thing. I've been on those, but yeah, nothing real. Not since the canoe. Not gonna happen. It's not my thing. It's just not my thing. I've been on a dozen boats in games. It doesn't bother me in a game because I know I'm not gonna get wet and drown and die. But yeah, so he's got this little tiny boat that he takes out now. So he goes fishing with this other guy, and the other guy is always kind of well, he's busy, so he can't go out that often, and they're always having to repair things. So half the time they want to go out, it's not working, and my brother-in-law gets a bit obsessive about things that he wants to do. And so when he gets in his gotta go fishing mode, he's gotta go fishing constantly. Uh, and that doesn't work with the guy who has other responsibilities and whose boat is always being repaired. So he went and got his own boat this last week, so now he can run off to go fishing whenever he wants, I guess. But yeah, so it's definitely been a long week. I got stung, which is crazy. I've been mowing the lawn like all year, and I've never I've never really even seen a bee while I'm out mowing. And it's like 50 degrees and occasionally drizzly while I'm out mowing the lawn, and there were bees everywhere. And one of them must have got on my jacket, and so I thought like a spot in my jacket had caught a hair on my arm and was pulling it. If you've ever had that happen, it can hurt. And so I thought that's what it was, and it didn't stop. And so I pulled my coat open, and and I'm like, huh, I don't. It doesn't look like anything is caught. And so I undid the sleeve, and because I'm wearing a flannel hoodie jacket thingy, and so I undid the sleeve and I rolled it up, and I'm like, nope, I don't see. I'm like, well, I see this red spot that hurts to touch now, but I don't see anything. So all I can figure is I must have got stung by a bee, because it's been 2 days since that happened. That happened on Friday. Today's Sunday, and man, I've got a $50 sized red lump on my arm, uh, with a darker red circle in the middle of it. All I can figure is it must have been a bee sting, because I think it must have been a yellow jacket or hornet, and it stung me multiple times, which is why I thought it was just a caught hair being yanked on, because it hurt multiple times, and so I must have just got stung in the same spot over and over, and that's maybe why it looks the way it does. I've tried not to itch it. Oof. And then on top of that, I got this wonderful cold, which has left me at the point where I can barely breathe. Surprisingly, it's not bothering my throat too much talking. I'm pretty surprised. My recordings yesterday, I couldn't stop sneezing. I just sneezed and sneezed. I will say I can feel my nose is plugging back in. I've got to go take some more Benadryl here pretty quick. I can't breathe. But yeah. I've been watching this show I wanted to talk about. I watched a few shows over the last couple of weeks here. I watch a lot of Netflix. My job is weird, and it's all online, and it's all on the computer. So I'm always working on my computer. And instead of a radio, because I'm at my computer and I have multiple monitors, I don't listen to music. I listen to shows, and so I just put a little window in the corner and let the shows run from Netflix, and then I work while that's kind of playing as my background music. And so I've been watching some shows this week and last week that just got added to Netflix. I try watching other things, but other services aren't as easy to use. I guess that I've tried to work with, and Netflix just is much easier for me to work with. So that's why I mostly watch Netflix. Occasionally, I'll watch something on like Twitch, uh, but usually only if it's like a 4 hour something or another. And but yeah, I watched uh, what was the name of that show? Great. I wanted to talk about a couple of shows. I don't remember what it's called. Uh, what was it called? In the Shadow of the Moon. That's what it was called. It was pretty good. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't like the best thing I've ever seen. It's pretty rare for something to be that good, to be honest, because I've seen a lot. But it was good. It was not what I was expecting. I assumed with a title like In the Shadow of a Moon, and then the synopsis that a cop hunts a killer who only appears every 9 years, and I'm like, ooh, is it a vampire thing? Because if you ever watched like, have you ever watched like, oh, I don't remember what that show was called. Why is there rain here? Why is there rain just in this spot? Weird. Oh no, there's not. There's rain everywhere. Minecraft, it's raining through my blocks. Um, so, oh, what is that called? I think the original one I watched was like Danish, and then there's a remake with Chloe Moretz in it. Um, about a vampire that only eats every once in a while. And so I thought it was gonna be something like that, and it was not. I was wrong. It was time travel, and so it was pretty good. I liked it. Uh, Not as deep maybe as it was trying to be, but I did enjoy it. It was good. Uh, I felt like there wasn't there wasn't like it tried to be deep. Like I think that's a big problem is that a lot of stuff is just shallow now, and so it wants to have like a big complicated story, but it doesn't know what a complicated story is, and so the it just kind of nods in the general direction of a complicated story. And so this one definitely could have been a little deeper story wise, um, but it was all right. Uh, the problem with that though is that I've seen so many things now that it's hard for something to be good, right? And most things are just they're pretty good, but they could have been a lot better. Uh, This is one that could have been a lot better, but I actually thought was better than average. Um, and then season was it season 2? I thought season 3 was out. Season 2 of White Gold. I really thought season 3 of that was out. I'm gonna have to go back and look now. Uh, uh, White Gold is this funny show about. It's a British show about a con man who sells windows, and there's a couple of actors in it from a show called In Betweeners that I really liked, and I think In Betweeners is a funnier show, but White Gold has its moments, and so the one guy on there, he's like the really nice guy, and he has a problem selling the windows because they're junk, and he knows it, and he can't lie to the people, and so he falls in love with the con man's wife, and so toward the end of the season, the nice guy follows them to Spain to tell the wife that he will do anything for her, and she tells him that she'll talk to him later and to wait at the hotel, and so he gets drunk and falls asleep at the pool with everything except his feet under an umbrella, and so his feet just scald in the sunshine, and he gets like second degree burns, and he yeah, it's not good. And so there's a scene in there where he's out on a call trying to sell windows, and he's in his suit, but he's wearing flip flops, and his just burnt red blistery feet are slathered in antiseptic cream, and the dog of the people is licking his feet. And so the wife finally shoos the dog away, and the dog climbs up on the couch and gets in his lap, and then pees all over his feet, and so he starts screaming, and they have to take him to the hospital. It was really funny. But yeah, I like that show. It's got its moments. Some of it I don't like, but there's some funny gems in there. Like I said, I don't think it's as good as In Betweeners. In Betweeners is about high school students, but and then I watched The Politician, which was okay. It was. I thought it was going to be a little more. It's kind of like Rushmore. I didn't really like Rushmore, the movie. I know it's supposed to be this amazing thing, but it just didn't tickle my fancy. And so this was kind of along those lines. And there's some parts of it that I thought were okay, but it just it was weird. Uh, like I don't understand the point of having it about high school students, because it was about high school students running to be class president, right? And one, two, I have to count this out. So 2, 3, floor. 1, 2, 3, floor. 2, 3, floor. 1, 2, floor. 1, 2, 3, 3, floor. 2, 3, floor. Okay, so we gotta come back. Oh man. This might be high enough, I'm not sure. In fact, I'm taller than that building over there. And I was saying 1, 2, 3 floor, not 4, because this is where the floor is going to be. Uh, but yeah, it was about this. I don't know. It's definitely a satire, and I am not the biggest fan of satire. I get it. I just don't necessarily always enjoy it. And there are some moments in this that I liked, but I don't know. It just. I didn't find any of the characters likable, I guess. And I don't know. It was. Like, if they have another season, I'll probably watch it just to see what happens. But, uh, like, it's rich people at a private school who the one kid is, I don't know, they say he's popular, but I have my doubts. Hey, alright, I'm gonna go sleep. I'm gonna go dump off iron, I guess, too, while I'm at it here. Um, and so he's running for class president because his goal is to be president of the United States one day. And so he has done all the research to determine what the best extracurriculars, the best, everything. And so he needs to be president of his class to get accepted into Harvard because the most presidents in the United States have come from Harvard. And so and so he's got to be president of the class. Well, then this other guy who's super popular decides he's going to run to be president of the class, which is weird uh, because he didn't have a reason. He just decided he was going to do it. And what makes it even weirder is that he's the kind of boyfriend of the guy who wants to be president. Um, like the guy who wants to be president has a girlfriend, but he's also a kind of a throuple with the other guy and his girlfriend. And so it's just weird to me that he would just suddenly decide he wanted to run for president, even though he had no desire to run for president. And then, spoiler alert, like 1 or 2 episodes in, he kills himself uh, because he's depressed. And uh, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why he decides to kill himself. And so then the whole rest of the series is about him and the other guy's girlfriend fighting each other they both run for president of the class. And so they're doing like, you know, political fighting with each other. And that's all everybody at this school is all about is, well, not everybody, but the groups that they run with are all about, like, he has like campaign manager and stuff like that. And so it's really weird. Um and then like he tries to decide who's the best running mate, and he asks several people, and then they settle on this girl who has cancer, and then they discover that she doesn't have cancer. She's basically that girl from uh, Oh, that Munchausen by proxy girl they just did a show on. The one that killed her mother. Um, I can't think what her name is. But she's basically that girl. And so she doesn't have anything wrong with her. They've just been faking it for years. And so uh, they find out, and then, it's just a huge, huge mess. And it's just, it's all really weird. And, like, it just might be that I don't come from that kind of an environment, so I can't relate to what they're doing as much. That makes it not as funny for me. It was just weird. Uh, they had one with Matthew Broderick and uh, Reese Witherspoon, I think, where she wanted to be president of class, and I think that one was funny. So it's not like this isn't a funny concept. Just I don't know. And then I watched two more real quick. Three more real quick. I watched an anime called Cannon Busters, which I enjoyed. Big Mouth season 3 was funny. I like that show. It's super funny. And then the one that I was watching today, I started today. That's pretty much all I did today. Sitting around being sick with this cold, and Raising Dion, which I totally I go all the way back to my base and then not put this iron in. Uh, Raising Dion looked like it was going to be a good one. I like superhero stuff, and Raising Dion is a young kid starts developing superpowers, and his father died saving people, and his mother doesn't know what to do, and almost everybody in that show is doing a great job of being on that show, except the kid who plays Dion. And he's just not a good actor. And so I, it's like watching a kid put on a school play. It's not great, and the show is kind of flimsy, anyways. I don't know if that's because it's for children. It might be that it's for children. It doesn't seem like it's supposed to be for children, but it is rated for children. Um, that is making it less enjoyable because there's a lot of stuff that goes down that I mean, it's about mom. She can't keep a job because of problems with her kids. Well, not problem with her kid, but the fact that she's got to watch her kid, and her boss doesn't understand, and so she's got to take an afternoon off to go get her kids. So he fires her, and stuff like that. And so there's some pretty major things going down. The death of a parent, stuff like that. But on the other hand, somehow the dopey guy that I can't stand and the kid who doesn't act very well managed to enter a level 5 top secret clearance laboratory and steal some of the kid steals some of the stuff out of there. Um, and and so far nobody can specifically say it's them, although the government's watching them. But he keeps it in his room out in the open, and they don't know that he's the one that did it, but the government's watching him. And it's stuff like that that's just like, you guys could have tried a little harder to you know do this, because we had an episode where he it's his birthday and none of his friends come, or he doesn't have any friends. So none of the kids that he said were his friends come because he's lying to his old friends. about how cool his new place is, and so none of those kids show up, and then he really likes this one video game, and so he's talking about it, and all his old friends are like, "Yeah, that game is dumb," and so he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I hate that game." But then the one kid who's his new friend, she's like, "Oh, but he loves that game," and then they start laughing at him, and then he runs off and has an asthma attack, and so he yanks his inhaler, which he left back at the house with his powers, across the yard, through the wall of the bouncy castle, and into his hand, which causes the bouncy castle to deflate. And some of the scientists saw him do it, and the friend from the new school saw it happen because the inhaler was in her hand, But then everybody just goes on about their business like nothing happened. And I'm like, right, right, right. You're experimenting because these people have powers. You now know that this kid is the child of someone who you suspect had powers, but you don't notice the thing in his room that he stole from your laboratory? You might want to try just a little harder, show. Just a little harder. Just clean up the conspiracy part of this just a little more. Like one of the guys is using his powers to grow his crops, and so they show his farm, and all his fields are green, and every farm around his is dead, or underwater or something. But his farm is all green, and so then he sees a black van parked on his farm. They showed his farm from above. He is in the middle of nowhere, and so there's a black van with blacked out windows, and so he gets a shotgun and he goes to the van. He's like, "I'm just gonna start shooting," and then the window rolls down, and it's a couple of dudes in there hotboxing, right? And so smoke's just rolling out of the van. So you're gonna tell me that a couple of stoners are gonna drive all the way out to somebody's farm to park next to their house in the middle of nowhere to get high? It doesn't really seem like something that's gonna happen. Like, and once again, does that seem like something that's going to be in a kids show? No. Uh, but I don't know. It's not as good as I thought it was going to be. I'm going to finish it. I'm 6 episodes in. But yeah. All right. Well, I had better get going. So click like if you like, subscribe, share, and catch the next one. And I will talk to you later.